Can you imagine a plague that wiped out half a continent? That's exactly what the Black Death did, one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. It first appeared in the mid-14th century, specifically in 1347, and spread through Europe like wildfire. The cause was a bacterium called Yersinia pestis, transmitted from fleas to humans via rats. But the deadliest form later evolved to attack the lungs and spread from person to person through breathing. Its symptoms included painful black swellings in the neck and armpits, high fever, and death within just a few days. In some cases, death occurred in as little as 24 hours. In less than 6 years, between 25 and 50 million people died in Europe alone, roughly 1/3 to half of the entire population. But the world after the plague was never the same. The sharp decline in workers led to higher wages, and the social system was completely transformed. It was also the first time the concept of quarantine appeared, when ships were isolated for 40 days, giving rise to the word quarantine. Smallpox was one of the oldest and deadliest epidemics known to humankind, and the only disease the world has completely eradicated. Its symptoms were terrifying: high fever, severe headache, followed by a skin rash that turned into pus-filled blisters, leaving permanent scars. It could even cause blindness or death. Smallpox struck mercilessly. At times, the fatality rate reached up to 30%, especially among children. It spread across every continent and caused the death of hundreds of millions of people throughout history. But in 1796, a turning point came when English physician Edward Jenner developed the first vaccine against smallpox, using a similar virus found in cows. Gradually, vaccination spread around the world, and after massive global campaigns led by the World Health Organization, smallpox was officially declared eradicated by 1980. The Spanish flu was a pandemic that swept the world in 1918. At the end of World War I, it was completely unlike any influenza humans had ever seen before. It infected over 500 million people worldwide, about 1/3 of the Earth's population at the time. What made it truly terrifying was its speed and ferocity. Unlike regular flu, the Spanish flu killed healthy young adults, not just the elderly or the sick. Many were infected in the morning and dead by nightfall. Some victims even bled from the nose or ears before dying. Horrifying scenes. Death estimates ranged between 20 million and 100 million people. The exact numbers remain uncertain, but what's clear is that it was one of the deadliest catastrophes in human history. The cause was the H1N1 influenza virus, and with no antibiotics or vaccines available, the only defenses were isolation, masks, and school closures. AIDS is a disease that has changed the world since its emergence in the early 1980s. It was first identified in May 1981, when doctors began noticing the collapse of the immune system in some patients without any clear cause. The disease is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which attacks and gradually weakens the body's immune cells until the body can no longer fight off even the simplest infections. The virus is transmitted through blood, unprotected sexual relations, and from mother to child during childbirth or breastfeeding. What made AIDS different from many other epidemics is that it was not directly fatal. Instead, it left the body vulnerable to any minor illness or infection that could lead to death. In its early years, the epidemic was accompanied by fear, stigma against patients, and widespread ignorance about how it spread. But as science advanced, understanding and treatment improved. To this day, more than 85 million people have been infected with HIV, and over 43 million have died from AIDS-related illnesses worldwide. Cholera is an epidemic historically associated with contaminated water, famine, and war. It is an acute bacterial disease transmitted through drinking water or eating food contaminated with a bacterium called Vibrio cholerae. The first recorded cholera outbreak began in 1817 in India, then spread to Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and even the Americas. Over time, repeated waves of cholera occurred, known as the 7 cholera pandemics, with each wave striking the world again and leaving thousands of deaths behind. The deadliest aspect of cholera is the severe dehydration caused by intense diarrhea. Without treatment, a patient can die within hours. In the Pandora 19th century, cholera killed hundreds of thousands of people in major cities. COVID-19, the pandemic that brought the world to a standstill. It all began in late 2019, when cases of a mysterious pneumonia appeared in the city of Wuhan, China. It didn't take long before it was identified as a new virus from the coronavirus family. In March 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a global pandemic. The infection spread incredibly fast. Within weeks, cities were locked down, schools were closed, flights were cancelled, and even stadiums went silent. Symptoms varied, ranging from fever, cough, shortness of breath, and loss of smell. But the most dangerous aspect was that some infected people showed no symptoms at all, unknowingly transmitting the virus to others. So far, more than 700 million people have been infected, and millions have died worldwide. However, due to differences in how deaths were recorded, some estimates suggest the real toll could exceed about 20 million deaths. The world entered a race against time to create a vaccine, and in less than a year, several vaccines were developed, which significantly reduced the number of deaths.